This is the Family Engagement Project for Angela Nichols, Rachel Moss, and Kayelee Cobb, myself. We chose to focus on a plan for teachers in preschool classrooms, and we chose to focus on LGBTQ families and families of color. To start off, we included a few statistics on the families from which we have focused. 1.5 million children in America were living in adopted families, and about 35% of those were of a different race from their adoptive parents. Over 6 million children and adults have an LGBTQ parent. African American and Hispanic same-sex households were almost twice as likely to be raising children than their white, non-Hispanic same-sex counterparts. In rural southern states, same-sex couples' households are more likely to have children than same-sex households in other parts of the country. So as you can see, these are very relevant family structures to our current culture. Things are changing. The traditional mother and father households are being less commonly represented, and we need to make sure that we are reaching out and helping out all types of families, not just the traditional ones we may have learned about most and focused on the most.
One way to ensure that we can be successful in working with diverse families in our centers, such as our LGBTQ families of color, would be to be more aware of our unconscious personal biases. Hidden bias tests are available for free online, and they seek to measure what prejudices we have that we may not even realize. By having all teachers, staff, and administrators complete an implicit association test, it will bring more personal awareness to our centers and give our educators revelation to areas that they may need to be more mindful of when working with diverse families. It will also jumpstart some important conversations amongst the staff at the center. One implicit association test is available here on the Teaching Tolerance website. So what would family engagement look like for our LGBTQ families of color? Through interactive relationship building, teachers and families can move into more of a collaboration with one another. And while that process continually grows that relationship, families will become more empowered and will be able to move from more simple parent involvement into full engagement in classrooms and centers. This engagement is more than attending class events and more of a participating in decision making and becoming a strong partner in the education of their children. It begins with building a culturally responsive relationship with parents that's built on open, honest dialogue. And while teachers remain self-aware, they promote a mutual understanding that all families, regardless of gender or sexual orientation, bring strengths to the table. The environment is set up to ensure respect, equality, and dignity to all children and families. And this includes the explicit and implicit messages that the curriculum and teachers and families send throughout the center. Teachers would actively need to seek out input and assistance from LGBTQ families who might seem initially resistant and uncomfortable, and respect what they have to offer their classroom. They work alongside these parents to fully empower them and build on the strengths that they bring to the program and their community at large. So for our family engagement model, we have come up with 3 areas to increase engagement with LGBTQ families of color. We will discuss home-based family engagement activities, parent education and support, as well as school-based family engagement activities as well. The first area that we will discuss will be home-based family engagement activities. One fun idea for a home-based family engagement activity would be a take-home book bag. These are book bags that are teacher-made to rotate throughout the year. They can be a diverse makeup of books and topics with LGBTQ families represented in each one. The bags can be accessible to a few families a week, and it creates an opportunity for families to develop a more well-rounded and culturally accepting environment. Some additional ideas to add to each bag could be an activity like simple coloring booklets made to recap the book selection, and a parent guide on how to introduce acceptance of others to preschoolers. Here are some great choices that could be examples of book content for our take-home book bags. The first one is A Family is a Family is a Family by Sarah O'Leary. This is a great book that celebrates diverse family structure. Another LGBTQ family-specific book would be Two Daddies and Me by Robbie Ann Packard. An African-American LGBTQ book, such as Julian is a Mermaid, would be a good addition by Jessica Love. And The Sparkle Boy by Leslie Newman, which celebrates gender expression. Using another book, The Crayon Box That Talked, you could create another home-based activity. You could create a diverse approach to the classic All About Me unit that most preschools do at some point during the year. This would be a strengths-based activity that creates an opportunity both at home and in the classroom to talk about how diversity is a collective strength. Everyone is different, and through this activity, dialogue can be fostered that honors diversity and celebrates everyone's differences and how those differences make a beautiful, stronger world. Click on the video icon to the left if you'd like to watch a video of a reading of The Crayon Box That Talked. It's a really great story.
The Crayon Box That Talked by Shane DeRoff, illustrated by Michael Litzig. While walking in a toy store the day before today,
I overheard a crayon box with many things to say.
I don't like red,
said Yellow, and Green said,
nor do I, and no one here likes orange, but no one knows just why.
We are a box of crayons that doesn't get along,
said Blue to all the others.
Something here is wrong.
Well, I bought that box of crayons
and took it home with me.
And laid out all the colors so the crayons could all see.
They watched me as I colored with red and blue and green and black and white and orange and every color in between.
This is a sample.
They watched as the green became the grass and the blue became the sky. The yellow sun was shining bright on the white clouds drifting by.
Colors changing as they touched, becoming something new. They watched me as I colored. They watched till I was through.
And when I'd finally finished, I began to walk away. And as I did, the crayon box had something more to say.
I do like red,
said Yellow, and Green said,
so do I, and Blue, you were terrific, so high up in the sky.
We are a box of crayons, each one of us unique, but when we get together,
the picture is complete.
So how can we make the school-home connection with this story of the crayon box that talked? Teachers can send home a poem printout of the crayon box that talked, along with a blank crayon. Below are free downloads for both. Children, together with their parents, can each make a crayon at home to bring into the classroom to represent their own uniqueness. And then together, the class can build a large display incorporating all the class crayons and celebrating the diversity in each of the classrooms. Our third and final home-based engagement activity is a take-home teddy. Each week, a family will be able to take home the class teddy bear and to write about the bear, including details like the bear's name, age, favorite things Teddy might like to do, adventures that Teddy had while with the family that week. The bear would purposely be kept androgynous with gender-neutral clothing and referred to in gender-neutral terms, except when the child is giving the bear's background story to the class. This will be one way to support education about LGBTQ issues, such as transgender and gender fluid people, in a child-friendly way that will be fun for the whole family.
We chose to do parent education as one of our 3 pieces of our project because parent education is really the gateway to family empowerment, and children will definitely have better outcomes when their families are actively engaged in their learning. By embracing our role as teachers, as community support and resources for our families, we can help strengthen their skill base and increase their knowledge, which will help create more confidence within them, which will help them teach and help their children even more. By using practice within our centers that focus on family strengths and respects their backgrounds and cultures, this will just increasingly add to their confidence and their feeling of being respected by us when working together. This includes accommodating the ever-growing diversity in the structure of our center's families. Parents should be educated on LGBTQ minorities to promote a more accepting and tolerant climate within our centers. So we want to make sure that all the children have parents who are going to be very open-minded about the other families who may be included in our center. When all families are educated on LGBTQ issues, as well as issues of families of color, it encourages a more open door environment for all children and all families to feel welcome and supported within our classrooms. Another piece of our parent education topic are newsletters. Newsletters are an amazing tool, especially for the busy family and for teachers, so that they can communicate even when parents and teachers may not be able to talk face to face. Having newsletters in a hard copy as well as electronic copies sent through email or posted on websites can make sure that all families can get the information in the best way for them. If you have families who speak other languages, especially those who don't speak much or any English, you want to make sure your newsletters are translated into those languages as best as possible. Your newsletter should also include inclusive language. We don't want to write Dear Mom and Dad when we have families who have 2 mothers or 2 fathers or only 1 parent in the home. We want to make sure we use inclusive language like Dear Parents, Dear Families. Families will feel more involved in their children's schooling and know that they are contributing when they have newsletters with information about what's happening at school and about the ways that they can help contribute. Families of African American LGBTQ families, which are what we are focusing on here, will enjoy reading the newsletters, especially because they will have family events happening in their community and they will see themselves in the family spotlight section. Here we have included an example of a monthly newsletter. We have topics such as reminders for the month, for things like closings, conferences, bringing in new clothes for the changing seasons. In this particular newsletter, we have the Week of the Young Child, which is a NACCE event that we will be including in other parts of our presentation. We have listed community events like egg hunts and a play group and parent support group for children and other people and family members who are LGBTQ. We have save the dates for things that are happening in the coming month. We have family resources such as a book for this particular month. We have staff anniversaries, ways that parents can get involved, which in this case is coming to child conferences. And we have the family spotlight. We have families write up a little piece of information about their experiences at our center, and we post it along with their picture in our newsletter. Again, we want to make sure that this is given out in a hard copy within classrooms, maybe a few stacks sitting around the school so people want to pick up a hard copy they can, as well as an email format or on the website or both so that families have access to it no matter where they are. Our second parent resource for education is trainings for family members. We want to make sure that our families are getting the best education they can to best support their own children. And we might do that in multiple ways. We could do things that are after school. We could do things that are during the day. We could do things on weekends. We want to make sure that we're offering times that are varied and best for different types of working families to make sure that there's more people who are able to attend. We want to make sure that trainings that are offered would be sensitive and culturally aware while also bringing to light topics that are important for the families in our school. In our topics, we want to have inclusive language, ways that our center supports inclusiveness in our own classrooms, and developmentally appropriate curriculum regarding LGBTQ topics, if that is what our trainings are about. We could also have community events with parents leading the education, as well as cultural awareness family nights and meet and greets and other ways that we can educate our families on the important issues such as LGBTQ, such as families of color, and such as anything else that a parent might be interested in learning about. For example, maybe technology time with their children. There are all different types of things that parents might be interested in, and we can reach out to the families of our centers, find out what they're wanting to be educated or trained on top of these things we want to make sure they're getting trained on, and create events for these families. Our last piece of parent education is the home visiting program. We want home visits to start before school starts. That means either if you're on a school year basis before the school year begins, or if you're on a full year-round program whenever a child is beginning in the school. This can happen with the first child to enter a school, if there's multiple children entering the school at once, or if a younger sibling is starting at a school that an older sibling already attends. We will have follow-up home visits scheduled throughout the year. For example, a few weeks or maybe months after the child begins at the school to check in with the family, their thoughts, their concerns. Around the child's birthday is another great time, especially for families who might need support organizing all those things that need to happen, like doctor well visits and shots, testing for kids who are about to head to kindergarten and things like that. If there are scheduling issues, other barriers preventing family members from attending conferences at the school, making a home visit could help provide that information they might not be able to come to the school to receive. Another time in the year where home visits might be scheduled, or if there is a concern that has built up around a child's behavior or their development, such as a teacher feeling that a family should have their child tested for hearing or vision or for some kind of therapy service. Of course, we don't want to blindside them with a home visit on something that they haven't heard about. So, of course, if we start to have some concerns about this, we will speak this in person as often as possible or through a phone call. And having a member of administrative staff come with a teacher to these sort of home visits would be a good idea to, if possible, to back up the teacher in their thoughts and just to be an extra support for the family. Home visits will generally be attended by the lead teacher, if there is multiple lead teachers, or teacher and a teacher assistant, the two of them together, come together so they show a united front. If there are multiple children of multiple ages coming into the school at the same time, perhaps instead you'd have a teacher from each of the classrooms that the children are coming into. Visits, of course, will be scheduled ahead of time, either over the phone or through email, with support from the school admin. And the time should be flexible in the evening, during lunch breaks, or on the weekends to make sure that we're really working with families' schedules. To finish up our home visits, we want to make sure that when we are on the home visits, we bring something for the child. We don't want to sit in the home and talk to the parents about the child in front of the child or send them off to play by themselves. We want to, especially when the child is first beginning at a school at the beginning of the year, have something that we can kind of get a gauge of where the child is developmentally. For example, you might have a drawing activity for a child to see their fine motor skills. If they're older, to see the way that they're viewing the world, the way they draw people, what stage of drawing or writing or scribbling they may be in. For younger children, like infants and toddlers, some cause and effect type toys to get an idea of their thought processes and their hand-eye coordination.
Hi guys, my name is Angela Nichols and I will be doing the school-based family education activities. Okay, so during basically family engagement activities, a couple of things that we can actually include within many centers for activities is a class-wide family engagement project. For example, one example is the buddy bench. And on the buddy bench, it promotes kindness and inclusion for all children and for all families to get together. So, for example, for families within the LGBTQ communities and within the African American communities, families can come together and volunteer or raise money for their own funds and work together on painting a project as a class and then reveal it. For example, I know in one of my schools, we actually took an old bench and families came in on a Saturday with the children and they refurbished the bench. And within a matter of 3 weeks, they went ahead and revealed the project, which is technically speaking the buddy bench. It also builds collaboration between families and teachers and throughout the community because they get a chance to actually work together as one. And especially for people of the LGBT community, it also gives them a chance to actually give them a chance to elaborate on what is meaningful to them, what is very important about their family, and why they are part of the community as a whole. And it also teaches other people who are like narrow-minded about the LGBTQ in the community to get a better sense of who the individual is. So again, the Buddy Bench is a great school project. It helps people who don't know each other basically becomes more friendlier, and it helps everyone to be one accord and to work as a team. Another school-based activity that is really good is the International Recognition Day. And basically, International Recognition Day was first established in Canada for the LGBTQ families within the community. Canada basically wanted to include not just only minority and other different cultures to get to learn about each other, but they wanted to promote an inclusive state, basically, country, basically. And one way of doing this was to create an International Recognition Day. Most children and families feel excluded from school events because it's not pertaining to them when it comes to having two of the same sex parents. For example, as a preschool teacher myself, I am an advocate for the LGBTQ community within my minority facility that I work at because there are a lot of minority families there that really don't know a lot of information about the LGBTQ within minority, excuse me. And the main reason why I advocate so much is because when I talk about this particular community, it's always frowned upon or looked down upon because of them not knowing who the person is or what it is. Basically, their influences are basically from churches. And having the International Recognition Day helps families to get more involved with children within school lives and for families to learn about more about the LGBTQ community. Children and family who participate in the International Recognition Day feel better about themselves because they're more involved because they're not excluded from groups. And in addition, other families will get a chance to learn about the LGBT families instead of being closed-minded about new experiences. So having the International Recognition Day basically teaches people how to appreciate other cultures, find similarities and basically work together to make a difference, not only in themselves or in their communities, but also in their children's lives, especially for the minority children in the LGBTQ community. One thing I actually did want to also say was I'm currently working on in the center that I'm working in on getting a unisex bathroom because, it is not fair that boys should go in boys and girls should go in girls' bathroom. For example, we do have a parent in my center who is a transgender, and they prefer to use a female's bathroom, but they're not allowed to use the female's bathroom because they have man parts. And the assistant director basically influences that person to use the male bathroom. But me, since knowing myself, I actually influence that person to go ahead and use whichever bathroom that they feel like. So that is still a work in progress. But getting back to International Recognition Day, if we have International Recognition Day, it will actually help to eliminate some of those biases and keeping the LGBTQ separate from the rest of the community. More information on International Recognition Day for the LGBTQ benefits. It benefits people because it is a day where people can come together and celebrate their diversity, especially for the LGBTQ, for minorities again are actually minority people are actually subjected to you're a boy and this is a girl. Well, with International Recognition Day, they can actually get a chance to actually express themselves how they want to without outside influences. It is a day to celebrate equality and mutual respect and to appreciate the contributions of the various multicultural groups and communities. International Recognition Day for LGBTQ creates opportunities to collectively create a greater awareness of the impact of the LGBTQ inclusive centers within our communities. International Recognition Day can also include outside speakers within the community who are from the LGBTQ centers in different places. So having them involved as well for International Recognition Day would really help everyone to get a better understanding of each other. Now in this slide, I'm going to be discussing some Recognition Day for LGBTQ ideas and activities. So some of the ideas for getting the community involved would be to make media awareness of the event and pass them to press release and invite them to the events. So not just media, but you could also get it to become more involved by actually using social media. You could actually do local newspaper. So anything and anything that you could basically use to get your event out to the community. One way of actually keeping a record of the events throughout the years is to take pictures. Pictures can be taken to actually throughout the community. Throughout the event to raise awarenesses and to also show support for the cause. Then that also people can also create an information table with informations like with using posters, handout, pamphlets, flyers about the community resources and the upcoming events, newsletters, and brochures. So those are some ideas and some ways that the International Recognition Day can become more exposed throughout the community. International Recognition Day activities. Activities upon the International Recognition Day can include having a costume contest, to see which visitors have the most pride. So this gives a chance for people to get dressed up and to express their creativity on the LGBTQ side, for their pride using colors. Um, for example, whoever wins the contest can go ahead and maybe win money or tickets to a local concert or anything. It is best to go ahead and be creative when doing any activities with the LGBTQ community. In addition, um, activities can also include inviting LGBTQ leaders to talk about the impact on uh, potential on early childhood education. Um, there are a lot of touchy topics when it comes to early childhood education and how nature versus nurture, or how gender identity versus the outside world, um, making major decisions and stuff like that for a child. Um, but if people actually have the LGBTQ community leaders to come and talk to centers, or give a special speech on the influence and the impacts and what we can do to actually change people's lives and in acceptance for these, then that's also a good activity to also consider. One really cool activity I thought that was really cool was have visitors write a word to describe their favorite things about the center on the pieces of paper and display it on a center awareness board. Things could include, my favorite thing about the center is the color of the buddy bench, or I love the center because they actually have inclusive classrooms that promote LGBTQ acceptance and inclusiveness throughout the whole entire center. Things like that should be go ahead and put on uh, pieces of paper that are the color of pride, which is the color of the LGBTQ colors, and post it on the board. And this also shows that people throughout, excuse me, not just families, but people throughout the community appreciate the center for their dedication on creating inclusive classrooms and activities for International Recognition Day. Another way that activities could be done in centers is to have a family celebration week, a week to celebrate diversity within our center's families. This can include celebrating the week of the young child, and it will add in extra specific activities to support our LGBTQ and families of color. Um, Certain days throughout the week, you can actually celebrate. On Monday, you can have Music Day around the world. Um, they can actually create pieces from home and bring it into school. Pieces that could be made from home could include, for example, stuff that is used at the Durham Exchange. It's basically where people take recyclables and buy them and reuse them to make cool new stuff. Tuesday could be Tasty Tuesday, where a day where they could taste like different cultures. This can also be celebrated within the classroom, where tables can be pushed together. Cooking Tasty Tuesday can include LGBT community leaders or parents who are same sex, to actually come and give a helping hand. Wednesday could be Work Together Wednesday. Classes could do challenges to practice teamworking. Ask parents if they want to plan or support activity for the class. Thursday could include art materials that are inclusive, such as range of skin color markers, such as drawing or creating family portraits with different art materials. Family portraits after that could possibly be hung up throughout the center or the rest of the classroom. Children who want to draw families of having two mommies or two daddies. Hey, I've even seen some families with grandparenting where two grandmas raising one child or two granddaddies raising one child who are married. All these different kind of pictures should be displaced within the classroom. Friday could be Family Friday. Parents could sign up the mystery to be the mystery readers or celebrate and read about different types of families. Books can include same-sex families or showing pride or children who are very queer, which I think is really cool. Same-sex family parents could come and tell classroom about their families. This can include a poster board with picture. You can also include this during the week of All About Me. So basically, Family Celebration Week should be creative and colorful and should be included throughout the class because we want all the children to basically learn about each other and limit biasness. Family Celebration Week can also not only continue throughout the week, but also on the weekends. One special day you could have, which is actually on a Saturday, the whole family within the week with a family celebration picnic. The picnic will include family-friendly music and dancing. You can also have the LGBTQ musicians. I've seen some throughout Durham that will come out and celebrate and play music like guitars or anything. Excuse me. And dancing. Dancing can also include people getting dressed up to show their best pride and to dance around. There can also be a potluck of food from the school kitchen and donations from parents who have signed up. Potlucks that are cooked from home should have a list of ingredients, what is in each dish, in inclusion with a list of things not to put in the dish. Like, for example, if you have a center that has a food allergy of nuts, all dishes cannot basically include nuts because you may have a potential outbreak, God forbid. So that will also be very helpful. Saturday could also include games and activities such as face paintings, hair braidings, putting in with a little bit of beads, taking pictures of family photos, which could actually include a photo booth. Photos from the photo booth can be displayed in a school hall or it can be displayed on a, what is it called? What do they call it? Give me a minute. Slideshow. Family Celebration Week can also include family obstacle courses and relay races. So all these things combined and made together actually creates an inclusive center. Everybody will learn about each other's culture, and it will help to give the community more awareness on the LGBTQ community. And yeah.